I tried to talk to somebody about the OOD loop the other day on their Facebook. They had said something. I don't remember what it was. So I posted the OOD loop, and then the response that I got was, have you become an old senile man that doesn't know what he's posting and he just randomly posts things now?
Well, have you?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a valid question. I don't know what it has to do with the OOD loop, but
because I posted it. I had posted it, and he's just like, what is this? I have no idea.
I tried to post the Wikipedia link to the Dunning-Kruger effect for somebody who was spouting off like they were an expert, and they obviously knew nothing about this. Happened to be guns, of course. And all it kept putting was the link to like Dunning, Ireland or something in the Wikipedia because there's a dash there, and Facebook didn't see the dash. So Facebook was like, it was terrible. I had to just delete my whole thing. It didn't work.
Well, I mean, I wanted to delete it, but the whole point of the exercise was to actually see that I don't think he read anything. No, he just saw that and was like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense.
Well, speaking of not making any sense, there's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I would welcome you guys to go to Wikipedia and Google it, wiki it, look it up. And what the Dunning-Kruger effect is... Why don't you
just write a blog article over it? Everybody likes those.
I will. Speaking of which, there are a lot of blog articles. Okay, yeah, I'm going to write a blog article on it, so go read the blog. So, the next thing we've got lined up
No, we can still talk about it. Let's still talk about it.
No, I will. I'll write a little bit about the Dunning-Kruger effect. But basically, in a nutshell, it's a cognitive bias, whereas people who are not experts in their field, who have just a little bit of knowledge in their field, feel that they have a lot of knowledge in their field. So you get a little bit of knowledge is dangerous idea. And it's where somebody who's a novice in whatever you're talking about, computers, veterinary stuff, it doesn't matter. They think they're an expert and they have some expertise to share. The other side of this effect is that an expert might not be aware of their expertise, their level of knowledge of the subject that they're an expert in. So it's an interesting cognitive bias, and where I think we see it in as opposed to the firearms world. I think we see it in everything we do every day. But in the firearms world, you see it in the guy who recommends you go buy, fill in the blank because his daddy had one. It was the best gun he ever bought, as opposed to something that actually would fit their hand. Get the little lady a 38 special. That's a woman's purse gun. That's what she needs.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we see. And that is because of this Dunning-Kruger effect, I think, for a large, part of the population. Anyways, I see it over and over and over again in the firearms world, especially with the invention of the great internet, where everybody can give you their opinion, even if it's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it, I've seen it on our own, Facebook pages where somebody will say, spout their opinion, and you'll dig deeper into it, and it turns out they have no expertise in the field. I see it when arguing, with gun control types. And when we talk about gun control types, basically you have people that know absolutely nothing about firearms, about gun control, about gun crime, about where crime guns come from, who commits crimes, fill in the blank. And they become an expert and they become a policy maker, and they want to pass laws that take our guns away, even though they know absolutely nothing about the subject.
Right.
And that's where you get the part of the argument where you can't fight. The Second Amendment isn't for fighting tyranny, and even if it was, you can't fight the United States government. And you're like, you obviously know nothing about this, so just shut up about it. And you realize that this person has no basis. They haven't studied, a rebellion. They have no history in their mind. And that's fine if you say, hey, I know nothing about the subject, and move on.
Right.
Or you say, I don't know much about the subject, but here's what I think, here's my opinion, you caveat that. But when you come off as an expert, especially when you try to tell me or you what we should do with our guns, you're trying to put your personal opinion on me, then that becomes a thing where now I've got to put up with your cognitive bias, and you know absolutely nothing about the subject.
Right.
It would basically be me marching down to Austin and demanding the state legislator change the vaccination laws for our children to something else because I read,
Jenny McCarthy's report.
I read Jenny McCarthy's article.
Right.
I saw Jenny McCarthy on Oprah, and I thought she was
right.
You
watch Oprah?
Well, yeah, doesn't everybody? I watch her channel 24/7.
The O Network?
The O Network, 24/7.
The O channel.
It's streaming right now. I got a port in the back of my head. Can you see that?
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. Anyways, hold on. Okay,
it's funny. It's a circle. It's
just an
O in her name.
It is. Yeah. No, but
I always wondered what that O was tattooed behind your left ear. Like, what is that?
People think it's for something else. It's just for the O Network.
Yep.
My favorite network. Anyways, Dunning-Kruger effect. I'll write a little article on it, but think of that when somebody starts spouting off something as an expert and they have no expertise in the field. There's a reason for that. And maybe you can even accuse them of such a thing because they probably don't know what it is if they're not an expert in their field and they're spouting off as if they were an expert. And if you are an expert, I'd like to hear some feedback on this one. If you are an expert in your field and you feel like you're not, if you've ever had the opposite side of this as an expert in your field and you didn't feel confident in your expertise, then let us know because I'd like to hear about somebody who sees the other side of that because I don't see the other side of that a lot. You wouldn't know. Usually if a guy's an expert at something. The car guy in your office who you can go ask, car questions about. He's an expert.
Okay, so I had to look this up, and the Dunning-Kruger effect, it appears, so correct me if I'm wrong, huh?
Uh-huh.
It appears to be something relating to somebody that really has absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're a novice in whatever you're talking about, yet they're spouting their expert opinion.
Because I started wondering what actually makes somebody an expert. Who says that I'm not an expert at whatever I'm using or whatever I'm doing?
I would say that. You're not.
You're
not asking me.
That would depend.
That was hypothetical. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to look it up. And it says someone that is unskilled individuals who suffer from illusionary.
Illusions?
Illusionsory.
Illusionary. Illusionary?
No,
illusory superiority? See? I don't even know how to say that word. That's an awesome word.
Basically mistaking and assessing their ability to be much higher than it actually is.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just trying to explain the reason there's
illusory superiority.
Illusory superiority.
No wonder and I wanted to read that as illusionary. But
this is why I'm not an expert. Hey, maybe get this. You want to wrap your brain around this? Maybe my attributing these gun store commando types to the Dunning-Kruger effect is me because I'm obviously not an expert in psychology and human behavior, right? But maybe this is me succumbing to the same effect, and they're not doing anything close to the good Dunning-Kruger effect, but I'm accusing them of it because I read this article on it.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day, and we were having a conversation about, she asked me, why do men get so frustrated or always say that something that they have is the best? And as I started to think about it, I really started trying to go into, all right, and I started thinking about my wife. My wife does makeup. Does she ever sit there and just say, oh, you use Maybelline?
Yeah.
I can't believe you use that. That's disgusting stuff. But yet men will sit across from the table or right next to each other and say, you drive a Chevy?
Yep.
That's terrible. How terrible.
I think
you shoot a 1911 instead of a Glock.
Yes.
I can't believe you.
Yes. And we do it here for fun.
Right.
I always say there are expert opinions on things. Now, you don't have to follow them. What may be the best for an expert or the best for a police department or the best for an army or the best for someone, it may not be the best for you, or it may not matter, especially if we're talking about, personal choice in firearms. Hey, you know what the best firearm is? The one you actually carry, the one you actually have. That's the best firearm.
Well, what I'm trying to go with that, though, is that it is really interesting because if someone has a strong bias towards something, then they're more willing to defend it, even if their lack of knowledge of said gun or car or whatever. To me, that's where this.
That's a just as good as. That's where you get the blank is just as good as
and I
the
think
expensive one.
You were talking about the gun show commandos and gun store commandos and stuff. I think that's what started making me think about that is they have this passion, and so they're willing to go out on a limb and make stuff up almost to try to defend that. And that to me that sounds like the Dunning-Kruger effect.
It's probably part of that. I mean, that may be more of a what do you call
specific?
That? Yeah, I think that may be people want to justify their own their own choices as human beings, and that's one problem we have as humans. We, for some reason, in our society, once you get to a certain age, you make a choice, and then you go try to find information to back up your choice. We no longer process the information and then make a choice, and I don't know why we do that. I'm sure some psychologists can come and tell me I'm completely wrong, because of the Dunning-Kruger effect. But
well, I'm glad that I asked you that question, and maybe I helped somebody else out there who might have misunderstood it, because as you were explaining it that way, your original example made total sense now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like going into a pharmacy and going behind the counter and just saying, well, this is what we should be doing, and putting this together. And it's like, but you change oil.
Yeah, exactly.
You work in the oil department. You're not in the pharmacy department.
Right. Now,
well, Tom told me to come over here and fill prescriptions.
Now, don't get me wrong. I, as a non-expert in a field, will do as much digging and studying as I can if I want to know more about the field and if I want to be better informed, as to refute an expert's opinion. Does that make sense? If an expert tells me one thing but I don't like it, I go look for a reason why I don't like it. It may be I'm just wrong, right?
Right.
And it
sometimes
may be
common sense tells you.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes common sense is wrong. Sometimes your common sense is biased. But, if you go look into something, you see, maybe this is why that's wrong. Maybe the expert didn't understand my particular application. That's why I want you as listeners to not take our word as our word isn't the final say so. We want you to go make your own opinions and discover and check our information, check and see if we're right about, the things we talk about, all calibers being equal, as long as you have a good bullet. Go look it up. Go see if another expert says the same things we do, if we, how about how great the Glock is. Hey, go check on it. Go see if other places like the Glock is, one of the greatest handguns ever made.
You guys don't get to see the private messages that we receive and we send, and sometimes we get called out on things.
Sure.
And we will have discussions with people about it. And sometimes we're just like, you know what? That's a really valid point. Like, we never thought about that before. Or that's something to think about. Now,
I won't say I've ever had my mind changed. I've been called out where I was just wrong. I was just misspoken on something. And I will admit to that. We're human. We make mistakes. But I have been able to expand.
Usually I go in and admit it for you.
Yes.
And say,
yes. You're right behind. The following information is incorrect.
Yeah. Scott Fuller apologizes to the fullest extent of an apology.
The following opinions are not of the Gunshow Podcast.
At which we have officially marked down that Scott will lose 30 minutes of sleep over this tonight.
Yeah, so hey, I just want everyone to understand, hey, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to our expertise. And hey, if some of you have taken some of our advice, our expert advice, and applied it successfully, let us know about it. Come to our Facebook.com/Gunshow Podcast. Leave us a message. Post on our wall. It's called a wall still, right?
Yep.
They didn't change that. Okay. You can tweet us at the Gunshow Podcast. You can go on our Instagram thing. If you go to the gunshowpodcast.com, you'll see all the Instagram clicky things.
You'll see everything at the bottom.
And there's a blog there with a lot of words, and I've been trying to put pictures with the words because I know we like pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, we're recording this on Veterans Day,
yes,
so I'd like to say thank you to all the veterans.
So technology is finding its way into firearm safety no matter how you try to stop it or don't want to believe that it's happening, but it is coming.
Oh, and it's being pushed as part of the left gun grabber type agenda for anti-gun stuff, or quote unquote gun safety. Yeah, because it's all about safety, people. Smart guns are going to be in the news, and I guess they've got a new product here that kind of is a retrofit to make almost any gun kind of a smart gun.
Pretty much any gun that has a Picatinny rail.
Yeah.
You can attach this device called the Guardian.
Yeah.
Guardian Firearm Safety Device.
It's Guardian Firearm Safety Device.
By a company called Verify LLC based out of San Antonio, Texas.
And this goes on handguns on the accessory rail, basically the light rail, where you put beams or your light.
Yeah.
And
what you do is where you would normally like on a Serpa holster where you have the finger release to unlock the gun. There's a biometric sensor there that you put your finger on, and I guess this thing is spring loaded, and once you do that, it slides back.
Yeah.
And when it slides back, it exposes the trigger.
Oh, exposes the trigger. So it's basically a trigger safety.
Yes.
So this is a trigger safety that's got a biometric fingerprint reading device on it that springs out of the way once you touch it with your finger.
Right. So what I found interesting is that we've been seeing a lot of these on your home vault, your vault safe, or a gun vault.
Yes.
But this is actually from my understanding, the first application that goes directly onto a firearm.
Yeah.
Now,
I haven't seen one. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it is.
I mean, it's commercially available, or going to be commercially available.
It's not a Kickstarter, is it?
No, their release date is actually November 16th.
That's now, when this podcast comes out.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting is that just like the writer of this article, the pricing that is out there is that it's going to be $299 for this device.
Okay.
If you purchase it before November 16th, it'll be $199.
Oh, so it's almost like a Kickstarter pre-sales thing. So you get a better deal on it. Yeah, if you pre-order.
But you can reserve for $159. Now, I guess that reserve just means, hey, you're going to hold one for me, and I'm going to pay either the $199 or the $299. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit confusing.
All right, two things.
Well, let me read this from from their website.
Yeah.
So this is what their website says. It is a safety device that attaches to the trigger guard of your handgun via a custom adapter. Guardian preserves the readiness of your handgun while reliably increasing safety. A revelation in a world where a gun owner's choices are render the handgun you own for protection unusable or inaccessible, or perhaps worse, do nothing at all. So that's directly from their website.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I like the idea of this device. I don't have a problem with it as a safety device. I wouldn't carry it around with this on there.
It does have a manual override.
But I could see...
So for anybody that really wants to truly argue, the battery goes dead, something like that. I'm not pushing for this. I'm just saying this is an option for some people out there might really like it, like you do.
I like the idea of it. I'd have to see the execution, to weigh my final...
I want to see something that's coming out in 5 days from the day we're recording this. That's not just a computer-generated image.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see more pictures and things like that. Now, here's the thing. Okay, two things. Gun safes, the gun fingerprint safes and the other doodads and doohickeys we've seen. Now, granted, none of them are at this price point that I've seen. But
there's a few that are at this price point. $300?
Yeah, but they're not real good. Have you ever messed with them? You ever played with them? It's not like they don't work. It's just that they don't work every time. Or, your finger gets sweaty or something happens and it doesn't work.
Okay, so you're talking about...
I'm talking about, the inexpensive, quick access biometric safe.
Yeah, but you're talking about an issue that is kind of... This is kind of in its infancy.
Yeah, no. Here's the other side of that coin. Yeah. That's where I was going. You beat me to it. But my iPhone has a button unlock on it where I put my finger on it. I just did it, and it unlocked it.
Right.
Works great. Works fantastic. You put another finger on there, it doesn't work. I've never heard, I'm sure there's people that can put their finger on this and make this work too, but I've never seen where somebody's been able to do that. So this technology works on my phone, and it probably works on some of the higher end phones, but we're talking expensive. This is a $600 gadget, you know what I mean? And this is so
That's coming from a company that has spent a lot of money,
a lot of R&D
and probably
money.
spent millions of dollars buying a company who has spent millions of dollars investing in that company. Doesn't maybe have that $5 million laying around where they can just go acquire a biometric reading company.
The other parts of this is how many fingerprints can you record into it if your finger is damaged, hurt, or something else.
See, that's one of the things that
it's inaccessible. If you're wearing gloves and you need to grab your gun, you have to take off your gloves.
You don't keep your trigger finger glove
cut out on all of my gloves. No,
I just wear those like biker 1980s driver's gloves,
workout gloves, 1980s
that's
workout
what
gloves.
I do.
That's all you wear
ever.
The string back, and the fingers cut out.
I need full dexterity.
You're wearing them now, which is kind of weird because you're not wearing a shirt. But it's all part of the fun.
Got my gold chain on though.
It's all part of the podcast, man. You say you're getting your podcast gear, and this is what you put on.
Yeah, that's why we don't have video yet.
That's why.
Hopefully, though, we will at some point be moving into a better space, and we can actually set a camera up and just record us. That would be cool. That would be fun.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. Put it on the internet. Yep. People like internet, man. I think it's going to stick around.
Well, we will be starting to put all of our podcasts on our YouTube channel, too.
Oh, yeah? That's a good idea.
So we're going to start doing that. We're going to backlog all of them.
Can I go look right now?
Not yet.
Can you pause? Oh,
well, maybe by the time this is out, we'll have a few of them up.
Oh, but I can't watch it right now while we're podcasting.
I don't recommend it.
Okay.
You already have the Oprah show going on. The last thing you can do is deal with another interruption. What are your final thoughts on this?
I like the idea of it. Like I said, I want to hold off till I see the execution of it, and I want to see an actual, picture of the damn thing. I like to know. It's an expensive lock.
Yes.
If you just picture it as a trigger lock, which is what it is, it's a fancy trigger lock, but it's just a trigger lock, right? It's expensive. I'd like to see
75% of the cost of a Glock
it works,
or more, depending on if you get a used one or not. And it only works on Picatinny rails.
And you can
From my understanding. That's my understanding. Now, that's just because there's limited information on this, which kind of makes me wonder if it's just vapor.
Could be.
We'll
never see it. Yeah, it could be.
But, I mean, it's so weird to give such a short date. This article was written 2 days ago, and then it's supposed to come out 7 days after the article was written. That's kind of the weird thing. But it is in San Antonio, so maybe we should pay them a visit.
We should go down there and see if they've got a Guardian handy for my Glock. And then you can pretend to try to get at it. Yeah. Speaking of people pretending to try to get in guns, there is a company I want to talk about training, local training.
Right.
And I want to make sure that our listeners out there know that there is good training and there is bad training. There really is.
Right.
Now...
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
There is a company that their videos went viral on the internet.
I know where you're going with this.
And they're pointing, I assume, unloaded guns at their students. I didn't watch the videos because it was terrible, but I saw the stills and I saw how terrible they were. And this instructor has students pointing guns at each other, students pointing guns at the instructor. And I'm not talking blue guns. I'm not talking guns with the little fancy, cool yellow barrels. I'm talking their guns.
Oh, yeah.
Which I would hope and pray they're unloaded, but I don't know. I didn't follow the whole sequence of events on the internet. So I just want and I just want to make sure that our listeners are smart enough to stay away from the instructors. Oh, there was more than one video.
Oh, yeah, but I watched a few of them.
Yeah. I don't want to call this company out, but I want to say that if a company is violating the 4 rules of firearm safety, and I am one of the first people to say that there are ways to bend the 4 rules of firearm safety. And now
it's called Dog and Pony Show.
I want to caveat that with the 4 rules of firearm safety are absolute for a reason. And if an instructor is violating them, and you're not in a tier 1, scenario where you're practicing clearing with some SEALs and some CIA ops guys, then you probably need a new instructor. That's all I'm saying. So please, it's your hard-earned money. Spend it wisely. If you have a question about, I am not in the training world, but we have contacts in the training world. If you have questions about a certain trainer, a company in your area that you're thinking about using, shoot us a message, send us an email. We will vet it through the people we know. And if they've heard of them, which they probably have if they're reputable. Reputable. I said that wrong. That was weird.
Reputable.
It came out odd. Anyways.
That wasn't even a weird word like mine.
If they're good, if they're good to go, we'll let you know if we've heard something about it. So I just wanted to put that out there as a PSA. That's public safety announcement. I didn't know if you knew. So a few months back, U.S. SOCOM came out with a safety message about its EoTechs. And the safety message basically was, hey, in the right temperature shifts, EoTechs will move off their point of aim, point of impact shift, basically. They're 0, like 5 MOA.
Wow.
Yeah. And not like go back, not get hot, go off 5 MOA, cool back down, go back to where it was. No, I'm talking just randomly shift in one direction or the other. Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
So, there was a safety message from U.S. SOCOM about it with an infographic and all sorts of cool stuff. And then a little earlier this month, I want to say, Elite Defense, who we probably never heard of because they're not big on domestic sales and not a lot of people buy from them. They're not a big player in the retail marketplace, but evidently they're a huge deal when it comes to military acquisitions. They're like ADS Inc., which if you've ever been around the military industry, ADS, who most people have never heard of because they don't do retail, they're a massive, massive company when it comes to supplying the military. And this is another version of that. They're kind of the same. But the surprise was they've cut all ties as a dealer for L3.
But they're a rather
EoTech.
Large company, though.
Yeah.
They're not like a little mom and pop shop that's just hey, everybody.
No. We're talking, millions of dollars in sales, if not more. I might be wrong on this company, but ADS is in the billions, I'm sure. We've never heard of them. Most people haven't heard of them, I should say. But so like we've always said here on the Gunshow Podcast, EoTechs are overpriced because they're just not ready for prime time. They are not up to the use of a high-end optic. There are other options available, and the other option is Aimpoint. Buy an Aimpoint, people. They're $400 on sale. This Black Friday, you probably get them for $396. Their battery life is measured in years as opposed to days. Basically, while your EoTech is off getting serviced by L3 for changing its point of impact, and you get it back, and then you got to swap out the batteries again because they died while they were en route, you're still on the same battery in your Aimpoint.
Right.
Yeah. So
now, this doesn't mean that EoTech is never going to get there or they can't get there.
I don't know what's going on at EoTech. I don't understand why EoTech can't get the battery technology to where Aimpoint is. There's something fundamentally different in their designs that keeps that from happening. One or two,
or some kind
they
of
don't
patent,
care.
Or some kind of patent.
That's
that
true.
Won't let
That's
them
true. I didn't think about that.
Get to that point.
ACET technology, ACET technology that Aimpoint uses, that might be patented where EoTech just can't
infringe on it.
And no one else has come close now, except for, and I haven't seen any testing on this, so we need to get our hands on one. Leatherwood, of all people, claims that their newest red dot that we saw at SHOT Show, the name escapes me right now, but you can go on their website and check it out. Their newest red dot has a 5-year battery life. And if that's true, maybe somebody's cracked the code, but evidently L3 hasn't, and we're kind of stuck with people like their reticle. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing people like the reticle and the EoTech. And I'm like, that's fine. You can like the reticle on it. Just be cognizant that the optic is not ready for prime time. It's not a high-end optic. You can't trust your life to it.
Well, I want to know why it took so long to come for this to come out.
I don't understand this. There has been a thread
if this is so major, why is it taking so long for it to get to this point?
I don't know. I went and looked up. I'm part of a forum of mostly military types, right, who started a thread 5 years ago that said the thread title was EoTech sucks.
Okay.
And it was everybody's experience
to the point
with how bad EoTech was and the problems they were having with it. And that was back in the time, I don't know if you remember, they issued a massive recall for all the 512 series because they were beating themselves to death with the batteries. I think we talked about it on the podcast. Yeah, EoTech's been bad for a long time, and everybody's known that. Now, here is the difference between you and I having an EoTech and US SOCOM having an EoTech, right? I get my gun off the rack, I go to the range, I start training, the EoTech goes off, I put new batteries in it, it doesn't come back on, right? I go back to the armor, he goes, oh, it must have broke. He takes it off, he throws it in the trash, he puts a new one on, I go back out. No harm, no foul. If it breaks during a firefight, I flip up my backup iron sight, I finish the firefight, I take it to the armor, I go, this stupid thing went down again, he throws it in the trash, put a new one on there, I go down the road. So it's not that big a deal for a giant company to have an optic that fails at a high rate. Now, it is if it fails on you in the middle of a firefight, an important moment, yes. But, that's what backup iron sights are for. It's not a deal killer, But if you and I have an EoTech that we spent $300 to $700 on, and we go to the range and we shoot it, and it turns off, and we put the batteries in and it doesn't come back on. Now it's a thing. Now we got to send it to EoTech. Right. Hopefully it's under warranty.
It was your money,
and they'll fix it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you're shipping it back and forth, and blah blah blah. And that man didn't fix the problem. That's a big deal, especially when you're talking an optic this price. And that's why I've always said, skip the EoTech, man. Either get something inexpensive like the Burris TRS-25,
right?
Or, the equivalent, SIG's got some, the red dots like that. Vortex has some nice red dots. You get something in relatively inexpensive, $200 maybe max price range that you like, whatever you like, man. Or just move up to the aim point.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this from the soldiersystems.net.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've got 5 models listed here that I guess are of the main concern. But just from looking at them, I can guarantee you 2 for sure are very popular in the civilian world.
And some of them are, I think the grenade launching sights on there, isn't it? On the infographic? Yeah. Yeah, the grenade launching sights on there, and the PEC, what does it say? The SU-253? No. One of these is. I can't remember the numbers. And the other one's for like a machine gun.
So it may not be all of them that are causing the issue, but it's still more than you want to. And I continuing to read this here from Soldier Systems. They have where they're talking about minus 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And I guess over 122 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. Which seems like it's extreme, right?
Well, not if you leave your
car in the trunk.
Yeah, your gun in the trunk.
If you got your,
because part of the car is always in the trunk.
Part of the car? You leave your, what did I say?
You said car in the trunk. You mean like the carbine?
Wow. Yeah, the car.
That's what you meant.
I meant car 15.
You meant carbine. Now I don't even have to go in and fix that.
I didn't mean that.
So anyway, but if you leave it sitting in the sun,
yes.
How many times have you gone over to pick up your rifle
and it's hot to the touch? And you're like,
Texas,
I need my gloves.
101 degrees.
Yeah, I need my gloves with the trigger finger cut out to pick this up.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, those aren't extreme temperatures. I know the high end's not extreme for Texas, and that low end's not extreme for up north. If you live up north and you got a cruiser and the gun stays in the trunk, or the gun is in the cruiser overnight, 40 degrees isn't. That's not a lot. That's not. Wait, is it 40 or below? 40 degrees below zero.
4 degrees below zero.
Oh no, that's cold.
Yeah,
that's stupid cold.
That's why I was. But I mean,
that's ridiculous.
That's why I was really drawing out to the 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I'm against that. I'm against the 40 degrees.
It's noted a plus or minus 4 MOA shift at negative 40 degrees and 122 degree Fahrenheit.
So it just randomly shifts if it gets hot enough or cold enough, basically. And that's terrible.
This is now I'm reading directly from their article now. And second is the concern over the claim by EoTech that their HWS are parallax-free, which was the subject of the previous safety of use message from the same office issued the 16th of March 2015. In this case, they noted that between 4 and 6 MOA parallax error, depending on temperature conditions, despite the PMO working with EoTech to rectify the issues, they still have not been resolved.
So this wasn't even the first blast. This wasn't, we found a problem with this, we're sending out the safety message.
So it started with the parallax.
They've been working with PEO to try to fix it.
But still, we've been in a war for 15 years now, and a lot of our soldiers have been using these optics. So why did it take 15 years to realize that 120 people that have been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, especially Iraq, are going to tell you that 122-degree day was probably nice.
That's like the more that's a nice cool day.
So how many lives have been endangered and how many shots have been missed because there was a shift?
Yeah. It's one, that's how the machine works. I wish it didn't. You're right. It's absolutely unconscionable that this hasn't been fixed quicker. If it's an issue, or discovered quicker, or whatever the problem is.
Like you said, if it is a true issue that is across all of them. Or does this only affect a small percentage of... See, this is where you have to start getting...
That may be the other part.
This is where you have to start getting really nitpicky about this, because is this the motherboard that's manufactured in New Hampshire versus the one that's manufactured in Maine, and this is only 2% out of the other 98%. So that's the question.
I think that may be why this wasn't discovered sooner. These aren't mass issued weapon sites. They're issued a lot, especially the SOCOM types, but Big Army issues the aim point. So they don't issue this, and you may not see a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that may be why it took so long. But in a smaller group of people.
And I guess in the civilian market, probably more often than not, if it happened to somebody in the civilian market, they just went, "Oh, that's weird," and went back to the range, recited it in, and moved on with their day.
I had a sniper rifle that jumped 4 MOA overnight. Now, here's the issue. Overnight, it was cleaned, put in the trunk of a car, taken out of the trunk of the car, driven to the range, driven back.
Used to kill a raccoon.
It could have been bumped. It could have been dropped. It could have been something I did. I don't blame the optic for that 4 MOA shift. So when it does that, the tendency isn't to immediately blame the optic and say, this thing just jumped 4 MOA.
Well, and the tendency is not to blame the optic if you readjust it and it stays like that again for the next 2 years or 3 years and you don't have any other issues with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
but overall, I still stand by my statement. Don't do EoTech. Go to the aim point or stay with the cheaper Chinese red dot.
Right. I mean, yeah, we talk about primary arms, which I guess now is hollow sight. They're one and the same.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
Hollow Sun, you mean?
Hollow Sun?
Hollow Sun? I think they're coming from the same
manufacturer.
Factory.
Yeah.
But honestly, I looked into it once, and I think there's only 1 or 2 factories that put out the cheap Chinese red dots.
Oh, yeah.
I think
so.
I looked at some of the boards, like the SIG board and the primary arms board, and there was another brand that had boards. Sun Optics or somebody had the same little board chip device underneath the battery, underneath the battery cover. I mean, all 3 of them across the line.
Right.
So, So
essentially what it turns into is who has the best customer service and is willing to work with me until I get one that works without issue.
So call Primary Arms. That's easy.
Yeah,
they have absolutely top-notch customer service, and they're a great company to work with. And
I've had one.
The red dots are great.
I've had one for 7 years. It was the same one that you guys stuck on that M240.
Oh, the one with the machine gun? That worked really well.
It still holds a 0.
Awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've had one for quite a long time also, and I would swear by it as far as a cheap Chinese red dot.
Oh, yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about here is we always talk about misunderstanding numbers or people using numbers to their own advantage. The U.S. Law Shield, which I guess used to be known as Texas Law Shield.
Oh.
They have branched out now and are now known as U.S. Law Shield.
Cool.
They put out a really interesting article, and they titled it, "The Average Gun Owner Now Owns 8 Guns, Double What It Used to Be." So there's an infographic here that shows 4.1 guns in average household in 1994 of a gun owner. And now in 2013, it is 8.1.
Yeah. Basically, U.S. Law Shield is kind of trying to debunk somebody else's article.
The Washington Post.
The Washington Post. Yeah, Washington Post did an article.
Post wonk blog item that purports to calculate. Actually, the author makes estimates from estimates.
Now, here's the insanity, and I got to start. We got to back it up a little and start in the back. But here's the insanity. The narrative of the gun grabbers is that gun ownership in America is dropping off. That's the narrative.
Yeah, that less people.
Fewer people are buying guns, and fewer guns. That's why there's so much trouble. That's why Walmart's not selling guns, blah, blah.
As more people become of age to buy guns, less of those people are buying guns.
That's what they say.
Okay, and that's where,
That's the narrative. Exactly. The problem is the first thing that you and I and the NSSF and the NRA can do is point to 20 million gun sales a year. 20 million NICS checks, which doesn't necessarily equate to a gun sale, but hey, we're calling it that it does. So, 20 million firearms a year are going through a NICS check. So where are those guns going? If gun ownership is dropping off and we have record numbers of NICS checks month after month after month, then where are all the guns going? The Washington Post is claiming that it's all the same gun owners just buying more guns. They say that gun ownership averages have gone from 4-point-something% in the 90s, to 8.4, 8.1, 8.1, 8.1. Anyways, in 2014 or whatever it was. So that's what the Washington Post is saying.
8.1 on their infographic.
Now,
which isn't even really double if you do the math, because it would be 8.2.
Yeah, everybody knows that. It's simple maths. Is it really 8.2?
It would be 8.2 if the 4.1 was in 1990.
8.2?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me check.
Multiplication. But you know what? If you put me into this household, in 1994, I was only 10 years old, so I owned zero guns.
Oh.
So if you take zero...
to double the zero...
is a multiplication, which is 0 times 2, which actually comes out to 0, which
so
that
you
is
have
false.
0 guns.
But that would be false.
No, I'm looking at you. You got one on your shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's what I'm here for, the fight. All right, so anyway.
So yeah, that's the narrative. And the Washington Post is trying to justify the 20 million guns sold a year and the record number of guns sold and the record number of NICS checks by saying that the same people are just buying more guns. Well, we all know that's not true. We all absolutely know that that's the most ridiculous thing we've ever heard in our lives. I am sure that the Washington Post is right. I am sure it's increasing. I'm sure, hey, it may even be an average of 8.1 guns each for all the little slackers out there with only, a handful of guns. I don't know. Who owns 8 guns? That's ridiculous. You need at least double that just to outfit your family. I mean, you got to have a shotgun and a 22 and a carry gun and a duty gun. And you got to have a hunting rifle.
By definition, that's an arsenal.
And in California, that's like a felony.
Did you know I was listening to the radio today, and they actually said that California has more NICS checks than Texas?
California, Florida, and Texas. That's where all the guns are being sold.
Actually, I think it was Kentucky.
Kentucky.
That was actually number 1.
Yeah, per capita.
Per capita of available or of age gun buyers.
Yes.
I think that was because that was one of the things that you had to take into account was you're 17, you can't buy a long gun even, but when you turn 18 in most of those states, you can look at purchasing a long gun.
Yep.
So Kentucky, then California, then Texas.
Right, and probably Florida's right behind them.
But if you keep playing with the numbers, then all of a sudden Texas is first and California. It just depends on what you want to eliminate or what you want to count.
Yeah, and that's where all the guns are sold.
But regardless, California.
Yep, California is full of gun people.
Very big.
For some reason, they don't vote. The down in Sacramento, they're banning things and talking about bullet buttons, whereas the rest of the state is buying guns. Explain that to me. Do you gun owners in California not vote?
Maybe the Post got it right.
Yeah.
Because maybe in California,
everybody's it's the same 12 guys going and buying all the guns.
It's like the same one.
Putting them in the 10-day waiting period. They think about how bad you have to want a gun to live in California and go buy a gun.
I've said this before, but I knew California Highway Patrol.
Yeah.
that lived outside of California.
Yeah.
They would drive into California
Sure.
to go to their station to start work, but they would live outside of California just so that they would be able to own guns.
I can't even imagine the guns and the taxes. It's got to be insane out there, right? 50% probably tax rate for the poor schlubs, and they can't have any cool guns. Or they got to have a bullet button.
Or you got to break the law.
Well, we don't
Which no one recommends.
We never recommend breaking the law
No.
here on the Gunshow Podcast.
But that's what I'm saying. You're saying those are the only ways.
That's
why do you think some of the criminals would have quote unquote cool guns?
Yeah.
Because they broke the law.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't believe that. I believe that gun ownership is climbing. We know gun sales are climbing exponentially.
Without a doubt.
So I am going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that gun ownership is climbing.
You see anybody that goes out and talks about the elections or talks about the last gun scare, they went out and bought a 22. They may not have bought a 9mm, they may not have bought a 30-06 or a 308, but they bought a 22.
Exactly.
They did. And they I've never owned a gun before, but I wanted to make sure I owned a gun.
Here's the question. Is that going to happen again?
People.
When Hillary gets nominated, is that going to happen again? Because we talked about it on this podcast. We didn't know if Hillary was coming. We didn't know what was going to happen. It looks like, from where I'm sitting today on Veterans Day.
We talked about this, but I killed your.
It looks like
I killed the
Hillary's
podcast.
coming.
Yeah.
It looks like Hillary's going to be here. Now, I'm not saying we should all go hoard 22 because there's none to be had still.
She's at least going to be put on the ticket.
Yeah, there's just no way. That's how it looks today.
That's what it
Something
does.
could happen tomorrow. Because, the whole Benghazi thing and the media.
They could release the emails.
The media's
Oh, wait.
really looking into that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're too busy chasing after nonsense from the other side. Yeah. It doesn't fit the narrative, the gun ownership thing. And I'm sorry. The gun ownership is skyrocketing. Hey, skyrocketing. Yep. Gun ownership is skyrocketing. And no. Just no. But here's the thing. I am waiting, and I am anticipating, and I am hoping for, and I can't wait for the day that gun ownership becomes normalized, that it becomes an okay thing, that and this open carry stuff helps. It really does. I'm against open carry as a personal thing, but I want the right to open carry, and I want to normalize firearms. I don't want somebody to see a gun and go, oh my God, that's a gun.
Yeah.
I don't want that to ever happen. Or is that guy carrying a gun?
Right.
Is he a cop?
Right.
He better be a cop. I don't want that thought to be in anyone's head. I want, it's a gun. Okay. It's just like if it's a fire extinguisher or a baseball bat or a knife or a car or a helicopter or a cell phone.
People have to start getting used to things.
Yeah, we need to normalize gun ownership, and I think that's what we need to work better at as gun owners. I'm gonna bring this around a little bit.
Okay.
But I think we sometimes don't do a good job of being ambassadors for gun ownership. I think sometimes we don't do a good job. We are snobs about whatever caliber we like, and we make fun of somebody who has a different gun that we think is stupid. And instead of being ambassadors for the gun, we make fun of their High Point or their P250 or their 9mm or whatever. Instead of being, and I know we do that here. I think we do it in good fun, and I hope that we're still good ambassadors for it. And if we're not, hey, let me know. Let us know how we come across. But I think we come across as just joking about it and welcoming all.
Right. And by the way, I want to clarify this. Scott and I both see the messages that are sent to us. So if you have something specific, or if you want to say something specific to somebody,
is that what this button's for on the Facebook thing?
Yeah, the messages.
Oh, I thought it was massages. I was way off.
Way off.
No, but if you have something specific, please feel free to message us.
Yeah.
We will respond. Now, the other part of being a good ambassador, of course, is we talk about it on this podcast before. The open carry movement has a tendency to not be good ambassadors, and I think we could do a better job of that as a group overall, and specifically the open carry types. And the, you can't have my gun till you pry it from a cold dead hands, America guy. And the guy, The YouTube videos, we've all seen them, where you hand your wife, your tiny little wife, the biggest freaking gun they've ever sold, and videotape her and laugh when she pops herself in the head with the back of it.
Yeah.
You know, I think we could be better ambassadors. And so I want to entreat you. I want to end on this note. I want to end on a note of entreating you, Mr. Gun Owner. And there's more of you now, so there should be more of you listening.
Hopefully.
You better be. I want you to be an ambassador for guns. Take somebody shooting, show them the fun stuff. You know, don't give them the titanium J-frame with the 125 grain blasters in it.
Yeah.
You know, show them the fun stuff. Let them shoot the 22 AR or the 1022 or the suppressed 22 pistol. Those are always fun guns.
Tell them to go to facebook.com/Gunshow Podcast.
Yes.
Like us. Go to iTunes and subscribe and start listening and find out that maybe not everybody, as one of the reviewers said, is not an old, crabby, old guy who sits there and thinks his opinion is the only one that matters.
Hey, yeah, this is gun culture.
Which is the guy was saying he was
3.0.
glad that he listened to us because we didn't have that opinion.